All right, so moving on to the next segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on Micheal Jordan being open to selling majority stake of the Charlotte Hornets organization. Now, I do believe this is the right call, the right decision for Micheal Jordan to get ready to sell his stake of the majority of his share of the Charlotte Hornets. I do believe this is for the best. What I've learned from Micheal Jordan being an owner in the NBA is just because you're one of the greatest basketball players of all time, the greatest icon, in my opinion, of all time, revolutionizing the game of basketball and being a hero and an icon for many, many players that paved the way to get to the NBA, and players that look up to Micheal Jordan as a role model. Just because you're one of the greatest of all time does not mean that you can be a great NBA owner. And he has not had success being a Charlotte Hornets owner over the last decade, and he has failed as an owner. And I think it's time for him to move on. So you look at the time of Micheal Jordan owning the Charlotte Hornets, dating all the way back to in the beginning of the 2010s, when the Charlotte Hornets were the Charlotte Bobcats. Under Micheal Jordan's ownership, the Charlotte Bobcats went 7-59. 7 wins and 59 losses. That's the worst record in NBA regular season history. Then you look at his time overall in the last 10 to 12 years owning the Charlotte Hornets. Micheal Jordan has only had 3 winning seasons as an owner with the Charlotte Hornets. He's owned the team, and they never won a playoff series ever since he's became an owner of this NBA team. And they never won a playoff series since he's bought the team in 2010. Their record in the first round of the playoffs, because obviously you have to win a first round. It's not like MLB or in the NFL. You get a bye week in the NBA playoffs, or a bye out of the first round. You got to compete in order to keep moving up for the first round and on. So we do the math on it. Micheal Jordan and the Charlotte Hornets have only won 3 games and lost 12 and 3 7-game series in the first round of the playoffs since he's owned the team in the early 2010s. They never made it past the first round of the playoffs. When you look at Micheal Jordan's draft history, being an owner of the Charlotte Hornets, that means he has the green light for every draft pick before it's officially finalized. And when you look at his draft picks in the first round, or overall first or second round, Micheal Jordan has only hit on 2 draft picks ever since becoming an owner in the early 2010s. Those draft picks are with Kemba Walker, who is one of the best point guards of this generation, and LaMelo Ball, who is one of the, I would say, one of the brightest young stars in the NBA. He's had injury problems since he's came in the league, but he's still a bright, talented point guard in the league himself. So when you do the math on it, all the draft picks that the Charlotte Hornets have had, Micheal Jordan has only hit on 2 out of however how many draft picks he's had in the last decade, and that's unacceptable to be an owner in the NBA. And then you look at, okay, you say draft picks. It's hard for everybody to hit on draft picks. Okay, that's fair. But then you look at his biggest free agency move since becoming the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, and that biggest move came in 2013 when they signed an old Al Jefferson, who was nearly at the end of his career when he scooped him up and brought him to Charlotte. That is his biggest free agent acquisition since becoming an owner, and I think that's unacceptable. He's been a terrible owner. It's realistic. It's time for Micheal Jordan to move on from being an NBA owner and sell his stake, and move on from this organization. The team has not gotten better over the last decade. There's been over the last decade, they've been one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference by far, and one of the worst teams in the NBA. They have not really transpired to be a great team. They're looking like they're going to miss the playoffs again, not even being in the play-in tournament. Micheal Jordan has failed as an NBA owner, and I think it's time for him to sell his stake of the Charlotte Hornets very, very soon.